Close your eyes for just a moment. I mean it, really close them. Listen carefully. Before you ever actually see Legion Ville, you can hear it. You can hear the sharp ring of an axe against timber in the distance, the heavy, rhythmic strike of a blacksmith's hammer, a steady drumbeat echoing off the hills. You can hear the footsteps of a sentry walking the wooden parapet, and the gentle splash of a drifting flatboat navigating the freezing Ohio River.
Hey everyone, I'm Kilby. Today, we are stepping back into an explainer of a world that has completely vanished from the landscape, but definitely not from the historical record. We're going back to the winter of 1792 on the Ohio River frontier. So let me kick things off with a question that really drives everything we're about to explore here. What if you could walk through Legion Ville in the winter of 1792? But here's the catch. Not as a general surveying his troops from a horse, and not as some politician reading reports in a warm, cozy room over in Philadelphia. What if you could experience it as one of the ordinary, everyday people who lived, worked, and sacrificed there? To truly appreciate what that would be like, we first need to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of the world they inhabited. Look, Legion Ville wasn't just a handful of canvas tents pitched in the woods. Built in present-day Harmony Township, Pennsylvania, right along the Ohio River, this was America's very first formal U.S. Army training camp. It operated from the autumn of 1792 through the spring of 1793. Try to imagine more than 2,000 soldiers essentially carving a massive military city straight out of the frontier. We are talking about over 500 wooden buildings, barracks, workshops, hospitals, stables, bakehouses, all connected by meticulously planned roads and protected by 4 defensive redoubts. It was literally a bustling, massive engine of military preparation.
Now, as you probably know, traditional history loves to focus on the famous names, right? We all remember President George Washington, who realized the young nation desperately needed a professional military force after some pretty devastating frontier defeats. And we remember General Anthony Wayne, the guy actually tasked with building that force, the Legion of the United States. And don't get me wrong, they are absolutely crucial to the story. But history remembers the generals. This Explainer series, well, we remember literally everyone else. Because it was the thousands of ordinary men and women, the craftsmen, the laborers, the recruits, who actually made Legion Ville a reality.
In this series, every single installment tells the story through the eyes of one ordinary person. So we're going to experience the camp alongside the blacksmith, his arms just aching as he forges the thousands of nails needed to build the barracks. We'll stand down by the river with the washerwoman, whose strict orders to wash downstream are the only thing protecting the camp's super fragile drinking water supply. We're going to wait in the freezing woods with a scout of the Western Confederacy, watching this formidable military machine take shape. We'll walk the crowded, smoky hospital wards with Dr. Joseph Strong as he desperately fights off typhus and disease. And of course, we'll ride the dangerous currents of the Ohio River with the flatboat boatman, delivering the very lifeblood of the Army.
The roster just goes on. We march with the young, freezing recruit as he learns through just endless repetitive drills how to actually become a professional soldier. We labor alongside the carpenter, racing to raise those heavy wooden barracks before the absolute worst of the winter sets in. We'll feel the heat of the ovens with the baker, who's tasked with feeding a completely hungry legion every single day. And we sit by candlelight with the clerk, quietly scratching ink onto paper, literally preserving the names we are reading today. I mean, think about it. Without the quartermaster managing the supplies or the dragoon caring for his horse in the dead of winter, General Wayne's grand strategies wouldn't have meant a thing.
A military camp, you see, isn't just a bunch of men holding muskets. It is a functioning, breathing society. Every single nail forged in those blacksmith shops, every loaf baked, every horse shod, every musket repaired, every patient treated, and every single road built directly contributed to the success of General Wayne's Legion. It was these small, seemingly mundane acts of daily labor and endurance that were the true building blocks of this young nation's professional army.
Now, you might be wondering, how do we actually know all of this? Well, consider the life of Henry Dundelow. He was a brick mason, a Revolutionary War veteran, and just an ordinary soldier who sadly died at Legion Ville in January of 1793. His life was painstakingly reconstructed by historian Gerald W. Thomas, and it serves as a perfect example of our methodology here. See, the purpose of this series is absolutely not to rewrite history. Our goal is to imagine the lives of the ordinary people whose stories survive only in these scattered historical fragments. And while some of the specific narrators you'll hear from are fictionalized, their perspectives are anchored deeply, deeply in truth. To be super precise about it, the events, the places, the daily work routines, and the overall historical setting you'll experience are strictly inspired by primary sources. We're talking detailed military records like the muster rolls examined by archaeologist Patrick R. Riley, surviving personal journals, and rigorous historical research. We are taking those real, documented fragments, the tax lists, the court proceedings, the army supply returns, and we're just respectfully filling in the silences between them to restore these voices to the narrative.
Today, if you go out and visit the site of Legion Ville, you aren't going to see those 500 buildings. The military city has completely vanished. Its log walls have long since yielded to time and weather. Its meticulously planned roads have faded completely into the Pennsylvania landscape, covered up by modern industry and neighborhoods. Yet, beneath the ground and locked within the fragile pages of the historical record, the voices remain. Welcome to Legion Ville. Their stories are waiting.
Just a quick note before we officially wrap up this introduction. It is important to be totally transparent about our approach. Each part of this explainer series is a work of historical imagination, but it's inspired heavily by documented research. While some of the narrators guiding you through the camp are fictional, the places they stand, the events they witness, the daily activities they perform, and the historical setting they inhabit are all firmly grounded in the surviving historical record.
Voices of Legion Ville. Experience history through the eyes of those who actually lived it. This is part of the Forgotten American series. I'm your host, Kilby. Produced by KLBWCK, content that connects. Powered by AI and you. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I honestly can't wait for you to hear these voices and step back into the winter of 1792 with us. See you next time.